So what's going to happen in this next video is it's going to be a way to customize audible warnings. If someone rings your doorbell, it's going to simulate you being home. You can pre-record a message and then it sounds like you're in the house and you just don't want to come to the door. So the goal of any type of security, whether you're talking military or just residential, is layered defenses. There's no one mechanism that will always be successful. But the more layers you pile on it, the more layers you add, the more complexities you add for an intruder, the better protected your asset will be. When these burglars are coming, so far with what we've seen, they want several things. They want the home to be unoccupied. They want to be in and out quickly. They want to go to a home that has valuables and is lightly or non-guarded. This would be completely different if we're talking about home invasions where they don't care if you're home or not. They are scared away generally by homeowners. So the more we can create the impression that we're home, the more likely they will target one of your neighbors, which unfortunately isn't good for Santa Luz. We don't want that to happen. We want them to not target any of us. We want them to get frustrated and go back to wherever they came from and find a different profession. So this is an example of a pre-recorded message that I did to make it deliberately sound casual and impromptu, like, you know, I'm upstairs and I just can't make it downstairs. So hopefully you'll be able to hear the audio through the laptop.
So here's a way to simulate that you are at home even when you're not, for possible burglars that might be doing penetration testing to see if you're home before they try to burglarize your house. So I've programmed on the Eufy Doorbell a pre-recorded greeting that sounds like this. So it sounds like I'm just doing a quick hello, please leave the package at the door, and I also get an alert wherever I am, anywhere in the world, on my phone with the two cameras, one facing out, one facing down, to see if it's actually a delivery person or, regardless, what they look like, and it's documented before.
All right, so basically what I said is, you know, just leave the package outside, I can't get to the door, and that will also send me an alert to my phone to see who's out there. If you have a Ring camera, so Ring cameras allow the pre-recorded message. I don't think it's as effective as a personalized message, but it at least will get their attention. It says, hi, you are being recorded. And that's something you can set automatically. So when it senses motion, it plays that recording. So today's presentation, and this may be the first of several, is more of an overview. I'm not going to go into detail on here are the steps to set this up. I can if there's time and you have the interest afterwards, but because there's so many different manufacturers and each manufacturer has its own proprietary app, it doesn't make sense for me to spend time on explanation for Eufy if you have Ring, etc. So if you have questions about your specific system, your specific capabilities, or capabilities you'd like to add, write it down. I'll talk to you about it after in the Q&A. So another feature of Alexa is urgent response using emergency assist. So why would you want to use something like this rather than your cell phone? Anybody have any idea? Any suggestions?
Done for you.
What's that?
Done for you.
Correct. And what if you can't get to your phone? What if you keep your phone charging in a different room, like, you know, the sleep experts say, but, you know, when seconds count and someone's in your house, you don't have minutes to go get your phone, turn it back on, wait for it to power up, wait for it to connect to the network. You need help 5 minutes ago. So emergency assist is part of the subscription package. It's $5.99 a month, and it gives you additional features that the free Alexa, like out of the box, doesn't come with automatically. So it just expands the power. And one of the features of this is fire, police, medical. You can yell to the Alexa, and not only will it call their central dispatch, which will immediately identify your location, it'll identify your specific medical needs and vulnerabilities that you've entered into the app when you set it up. It will contact up to 25 of your family and friends that you've entered as, you know, key associates that you want them to be notified if you do an emergency call. It will then put you in touch with a human within several seconds and they will be able to route fire, police, and or medical to your physical location. So it does everything 911 can do, plus arguably more, because if you can't get to your phone and all you can do is just yell out for help, this could save your life. And you can test it. I tested it. I did a recording of it. I'll show you in a minute. And it works quite well. So here's an example of a smart keypad. So before I talk about it, you don't, if you don't feel comfortable answering, don't. But how many of you have, the typical deadbolt with, standard key, right? Okay, yeah, so most of you, almost all of you. And what are some of the problems with just using, a key, giving out a key for friends or guests or, yeah, you never know who has a copy. Once it's out of your custody, you never know how many keys are out there. And if you have short-term rentals, if you have just any rental property, but especially short-term rentals, you give them a key, they could have a key forever. You have to change the locks, just like you're legally required to do if you are a landlord in California. This makes a lot more sense. So this is an electronic keypad that allows you to give expiring temporary codes to guests, to tenants, to short-term rentals, and you can set it in any way you can imagine you can set it. If you want it to just be valid from 9 a.m. Saturday to 5 p.m. Sunday, you can set it. If you want it to be good for one use, where someone comes and drops off a package and can never use it again, you can do that. If you want it to be linked to their biometrics, to where their fingerprint is required, in other words, they have to be on site to use it, you can do that. And if you wanted to just have, a random 4 or 8-digit PIN, you can do that as well. So, oh, they're about to get excited. Hey, you stay. No, you stay. Okay. So that's okay. Hey, Gretchen. Yeah, you come in. Yeah, great. There's chairs over there if you want to pull one over. So, okay. All right. Hey, not for you. They are losing their mind. Hey, no, that's all right. Okay. Save the dog barking for the dog barking skill. Okay. Ned, Brandon, down. Leave it. Down. Brandon, down. Okay. So what I'm going to show you is the keypad, and I think we got another dog coming. Okay. All right. So sorry about this. All right. I'm just going to continue.
So here's a better option than giving out manual old-fashioned keys, because once a key is out of your possession, you have no idea who has a copy. So this is a smart keypad. It replaces your deadbolt. And what you can do with this is obviously unlock your door with your fingerprint. But more importantly, I'm going to lock it again. It will automatically lock after the interval you set, 30 seconds, 3 minutes, etc. You can remotely unlock and lock it if you have a visitor, but even more useful is that you can create dedicated PIN numbers for your
Sorry, so that's what I've already covered. Here's glass breakage detection and notification. If someone's trying to break into your house, it can listen for glass breakage and notify you wherever you are in the world.
So this is going to simulate someone breaking into your home or business, and if you have an echo device with the glass breakage detection enabled using Amazon Emergency Assist, it should detect. There it is.
So you see that little message there?
Let's pause
So
the video, and we're going to go over here. So let's record the screen so I can make it a little.
So what it's doing is it's recording the sound of the glass breakage. It'll play it back to you on your phone wherever you are in the world, so you can listen and drop in on that speaker and communicate if someone's in your house. And obviously I wasn't willing to shatter my glass to demonstrate this, so I used a simulated glass recording from YouTube.
Nick, I just want to say I dropped a glass accidentally in my kitchen. It went off.
Okay, there's easier ways to test it, but I'm glad it worked. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We can let them know it's a test, or we can just hang up.
And
we can also play.
So here's what it recorded.
Now, I hope I didn't wake up my wife by doing the emergency helpline, because that's triggered to automatically contact her anytime somebody initiates an emergency call from the house. So she's already mad at me. She's even more mad at me. I was very well. She was playing the glass breakage while she was trying to relax this evening to make this video. So this is going to be the recorded sound that occurred.
Yep. So for what it's worth, I risked my marriage to make this presentation. So here's an example of Ring pathway lights. So if you have Ring cameras already set up, you've already bought into the Ring ecosystem, this allows you to expand the motion detection zone to the outer limits of your property. This is multiple benefits in one. So you probably already have solar pathway lights or battery powered pathway lights. Those are fine, but those are dumb. They're not smart lights. These are networked together. So when one is triggered, all are triggered. They're all networked together. And then after one is triggered, that is considered a motion detecting event. So everything else that you want to trigger, and the possibilities are quite literally limitless when it comes to Alexa. Anything that you might want to do, I can probably show you how to do it with Alexa. Everything from if there's any motion detected in my yard, I want to play a fake dog barking sound that scares them away. I want to turn the lights on. I want to turn the lights red. I mean, anything with smart lights, smart speakers. If you think about what you want to do, there's a way to do it now. It really is like hard to exaggerate. So with these motion detecting lights, a good use case is you have them, especially if you're one of the homes that is adjacent to the open space or the golf course. You have these at the outer limits of your property, assuming it's HOA compliant with the lights. That's not my problem. And you allow your cameras to start recording early, because what happens with most motion detection cameras is that they don't start recording until motion is detected. And that can be a delay of up to 5 seconds, which means the person walks by and then the camera starts recording. What's the point? So if you can have your cameras triggered to start recording 10, 20 seconds in advance because it captured the person entering the property before they even get to your house, that is the only thing that matters. It doesn't matter if you have cameras if you don't have the cameras detect someone because the motion wasn't triggered. Another thing to consider with motion detection is motion tracking and pan and tilt cameras. And I'll show you an example of that I have in my garage, in my house, and in the backyard, where a typical camera, if you see where it's oriented, you can duck around it if it's pointed in one direction. With a pan and tilt motion detecting camera, it will sense the motion, it will see the person coming from the perimeter, and then follow them. And you'll see an example of that. This is
going to be a demonstration.
So this is the urgent response demonstration. So you also have the app. You can press the button. So maybe there's no cell signal, you have Wi-Fi.
Fire, police, or medical.
So it's like an SOS button. It's like that old commercial, like help, I've fallen, I can't get up. You have like a life alert button. Yeah.
Or if you're in the app.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's only information that we have listed here for you.
Okay.
Other than
There's
it
one
looks like you are O negative for your blood type.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping. Okay, perfect.
Oh.
That's all.
All right, sir. Thank you. And we are here 24/7 for you. If you ever need help in an emergency, just give us a call.
Right.
We can dispatch help. Am I speaking with Mr. Nixie?
You are.
All right, so we were able to basically hear the gist of that. They already had my medical information on file, ready to go, ready to relay that. If you've ever been in a real emergency, there's a few guarantees. It's going to be chaos, confusion, there's going to be misunderstandings, misinterpretations. The more you can control for those variables, the fewer misunderstandings, the quicker that your life could be saved. I mean, seconds really do matter. And the more you can, preload this critical medical information, the less you're going to spend saying, I'm O negative, A positive, A negative, like fewer confusions. So this is an example of using backyard motion detection with an Alexa notification. So let's say you want to be notified if someone is in your backyard when they shouldn't be. Maybe you have gardeners coming, during daylight hours, so you don't want to be notified during the daylight hours. So you would just set the motion alert window to be at dusk, maybe 8 p.m. to 7 a.m. There should be no gardeners working on your lawn at 1 a.m. So if someone is detected, you want to be notified. Maybe you even want to be woken up, and you may be thinking, well, what if it's a coyote? You don't need to wake up, even though people love to post on Nextdoor immediately that they saw a coyote. It's not an emergency. It is an emergency if it senses a human. And this is where the new generation of AI-enabled cameras are critical, because now they can distinguish between animals and people. So you can configure the camera or the motion detecting device, in this case a camera, that has AI, such as the Eufy, EUFY, which is my preferred brand. I've used most of them. I prefer Eufy because they're 4K. There are other 4K cameras. Ring is good, but Ring does not do 4K. 4K is important because if it comes down to identifying facial features, tattoos, I mean, at least these criminals are dumb enough to get tattoos, which makes it a lot easier to identify them. License plates, if you're just using a 1080p camera versus 4K, that could be the difference between making out the license plate and just blurriness. So that's why I like Eufy. There are plenty of good features with Ring. If you've already started with the Ring ecosystem, you can have two different systems at once. But if you're familiar with Ring, maybe stick with Ring. If you're familiar with Blink or Arlo or Nest or Philips, they all have good features. But if you're just starting out, I would consider Eufy. They also make solar-powered cameras, which if you're going to mount up high, which you should to get more coverage, they have their own solar panels. And another advantage of 4K is that you can zoom in. So you can mount it much further away than you normally would be able to, because the resolution has so many extra pixels to spare that you can zoom in on that one targeted area when you're replaying it and have useful media to play back. So this is a quick example of detecting someone in the backyard and then getting an alert. So it's my wife, she's reluctantly participating, and there's a little alert that pops up on the screen. So that's, I'll show you a more detailed example if you want, but that's the gist of it, right? Motion detected, an instant alert. And then when it pops up, this is where you do want to have notifications enabled on your device, on your iPad or phone. If you do get that notification, you click on it, and then it shows you in real time what you're looking at. It also records it in the cloud so you can play back those events. And I'll show you what that looks like, where it records all the events. It will recognize faces. You can do what's called a whitelist. A whitelist is, these are all the recognized faces that I know. Similar to with the internet, you can whitelist websites for your kids. These are all the websites they're allowed to use. The opposite of that is, these are unknown. So you want to be notified if it's a face that's outside of your whitelist. You don't care that your kids, your family members went outside. You care if it's a suspicious person that isn't recognized. So it's using facial recognition. So it's equally as awesome as it is terrifying, that it recognizes people by its faces now, recognizes dogs. The technology's out there. You might as well harness it for your benefit. So this is a multi-camera dashboard. This is basically how my setup looks. It shows recent events. This is someone coming in through the backyard. This is a bird that landed next to the koi pond. I have it set to all motions. That's why it's not distinguishing between humans and animals. The reason we have a camera here is just so we can make sure the kois aren't suffocating, making sure the pump stays working. We have cameras facing all angles of the driveway of the street. Also to help out a neighbor in case one of them gets burglarized, I might be able to capture a plate of a suspicious vehicle for them. The more you can help out your neighbors, the more we can add cameras, the better we all will be.
All right, so with the Eufy app, you have a dashboard that also shows you all of your events. And you can filter events based on whether it was a human, a pet. So you don't have to limit the notifications to just humans. You can have it detect everything, but then when you play it back, only look for humans. And then you can further narrow it down by, let's say, just back door, or a few backyard, maybe the garage, maybe the front porch. And you can look to see, if it's stored locally and the cloud. So what we're going to do is confirm that.
So you can store it locally if you don't want it in the cloud. I'll explain what that means after if anybody has a question.
Filter it down. Now we can play back the videos that were taken today. It shows the timestamp. That, right? So there's that. That's me.
So that's how you can see, all the recorded events just as a heads-up view. So you're not having to scroll through hours of just dormant video. It goes right to the activity that was captured. So then, with the cloud, does anybody not understand what I mean by cloud storage versus local? If you don't, please raise your hand because other people might not understand. Okay, good. So this is facial recognition. So you can add faces of your family. So therefore, it will notify you if it recognizes a face that is not one of your family members. It can recognize the difference between animals and humans.
All right, so let's say you want to use AI recognition in a camera like Eufy to detect humans versus animals, because you don't want to be alerted every time an animal enters your backyard or a coyote. You do want to be alerted if a human enters your backyard when you're sleeping, such as between the hours of 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. So the way you would set that is to use your camera's app. In this case, we're using Eufy. So let's go to the backyard camera. And we will go here, we'll go to settings, and we will go to motion detection. And this will allow us to set it for either humans only or all motion.
Okay, so I think you get the gist, right? And then here's an example of indoor motion tracking. So if you wanted to use cameras indoors, you can have it turned off when you're home. You can have it set to, be on guard when you're traveling, and this will follow and track. I think there's a problem with the internet here, but yeah. So the camera obviously is recognizing motion, tracking the motion, and the dog follows it. But that's. And then this is an example of
Correctly, thanks the lights.
This is an example of triggering the lights. So, you're not going to want to use red lights necessarily, but this is an example of how you can trigger the lights to turn on, do anything you want with the lights when it's detected by motion. Now, beyond just security and surveillance, you can set your lights to turn on when you arrive home, either at a certain time. You can have it turn on based on your phone's GPS. When it senses that you are actually approaching the home, it'll turn on the lights. You can have it turn on the thermostat based on wherever you are. You can also have it randomize your lights. And this is important because the old thinking was, leave your lights on or have a timer so your lights go on when you leave, and it's supposed to simulate you being home. But the burglars have gotten wise to that. They are scoping homes out. They realize it's almost an automatic giveaway that if the lights are going on at the same time every night for several nights in a week, then it's obvious that it's just on an automated timer. So what Alexa has is a home and away setting. And if you say, Alexa, I'm leaving, it will put you in away mode. And what that does is it randomly turns on specific lights, usually one room at a time. If you have smart lights throughout your house and you have them grouped by room, it will turn on the room at a time to really simulate someone going from room to room. Now, I learned how effective this is the hard way. 2 nights ago, I forgot to tell Alexa I was home, and in the middle of the night, it woke us up, turned on all the lights in the bedroom, and that's because it was simulating, going from one room to the other. So my wife was less than thrilled about that. So, yeah. So here's just, as I said, just an example of it, like turning the lights red when it detects motion, just to demonstrate how this would work.
Outside and it senses motion from the camera up here. To the camera, and let's see if it's triggered.
So watch the lights.
See that?
See?
I just turned red.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's Alexa recognizing that there was a motion trigger from the Eufy camera, and then communicating with the Philips Hue lights to turn red. And it really is simple. It sounds like it might be complicated. You don't have to know any coding. It's just push the buttons on the app. It walks you through it. You tell it what you want it to control, when you want it to be controlled, how you want it to be controlled, and it does the rest for you. This would have taken many hours of pro home customization in years past, and it still would be buggy and not work reliably. And we've already talked about the glass breakage, detection notification. That's how the app would look. And when you want to do routines like I've been demonstrating, you would start there if you want to give it a go. This is an example of...
So another thing that Alexa merged from here.
So what I'm going to try to do is simulate being...
So we have clock.
I'm going to simulate people talking. And one way to do that is to just have Alexa play a podcast like the Lex Fridman podcast. I don't know if you're familiar with that one, but Lex Fridman is similar to Joe Rogan, but kind of more sophisticated and more conservative. Not politically, he just is very calm. Like there's no outlandish sound effects. It just sounds like two people having a conversation. And it goes on for hours. So what I've found to be pretty effective is during certain hours, if there is motion detected, the Alexa speaker right here that I just keep near the outside glass on full volume will trigger the Lex Fridman podcast. So then it just sounds like two people talking. And that is a very useful deterrent because, again, these burglars have given us pretty useful hints. They don't want to burglarize homes that are occupied. So that's why we want to make it appear that we are home, that somebody is home. They don't necessarily know us. They don't know our voices. They're just going to be scared off like coyotes would be if you approach. They want a vacant house. They want to be able to get in, get out, and not get caught. So
from here to the Echo Show speaker.
So let me skip a few slides because we're going to be running out of time, and I want to finish early so we can answer a few questions. I put together a little table to give you a summary of the features. We might be able to send out the slides or print them out if you don't have time to read it all right now. But for emergency assist, what Alexa is replacing is an older program called Alexa Guard. It's now called Emergency Assist. So that's what you're going to want to look for if you're intrigued by this. It's that add-on feature, and that gives you things like glass detection, glass breakage detection. It will also listen for smoke alarms, for CO alarms. It will alert you if it hears the alarm being triggered. And I have a clip of demonstrating that, but it's pretty straightforward. If the microphone hears the pretty typical alarm sound, it will alert you wherever you are in the world, send you an alert, and allow you to drop in real time because this is a speaker and a microphone, so you can hear what is going on in real time. You can hear if there's people yelling, screaming. You can talk both ways, and you can probably find out, if someone's in your house, hopefully they're a guest, and you can talk to them and say, hey, is everything okay? Is this a false alarm? Oh, it is. Well, here's how to turn off the alarm. It initiates two-way communication after it alerts you. And it covers everything I think I've already spoken about. I'm not going to repeat what I talk about, 25 emergency assist contacts. And it works with most Echo devices for being able to say, like, Alexa, call emergency assist. And then Ring has a premium program now where you can pay more to get more features. And one of the problems that we're having in California is that these burglars are so professional, so sophisticated, that they are jamming the Wi-Fi. They're using Wi-Fi jammers. So that's where a wired camera has an advantage. And as I've learned through life, through the military, there's a solution to every problem. There's a problem to every solution. So if you have wired cameras, well, the power could be cut. A rat could chew through the wires. If you want to upgrade the cameras, now you have to use like a new power supply. It's very inconvenient, but there are major advantages to wired cameras. Also, if you are storing the footage locally, the vulnerability is they could take the digital video recorder and now you have no footage. If it's in the cloud, that has its own unique advantages. My preference, which doesn't mean it is without fault, but my preference is to have wireless cameras that are Wi-Fi enabled, that are, if they're outside, they're solar powered, so I don't have to bring them in to charge them. If I want to upgrade them, it's as simple as unscrewing the camera and screwing the new camera back in. So Wi-Fi is your backbone. And I'm going to skip right to that slide because Wi-Fi is so important. If you don't have Wi-Fi that's robust enough, either because it isn't reliable, it drops out, the range isn't significant, the speed isn't adequate to carry video and audio, you have nothing if you have smart home components. And just within like the last 10 years, Wi-Fi has basically blown away what you would have had to have Ethernet, like Cat 5 for 10 years ago. Wi-Fi 7 is kind of at the sweet spot. Now, the limitation is 250 meters. A lot of us have large homes, and it's not a straight shot. It goes up to the rafters, etc. So if you're trying to run physical cable, that has to be a consideration. Wi-Fi generally is a straight shot. But again, going back to there's always a problem to every solution. If you have very thick cement walls, you have metals, that will interfere with your signal. But Wi-Fi 7 is incredibly powerful. It gives you capabilities that you didn't have with Wi-Fi 6 or 5 before. And it's incredibly fast. You can, the reason I'm saying Eero, I really like Eero for my Wi-Fi. And it's similar to Eufy. The names are kind of confusing, but Eero, in my opinion, nothing works better. Nothing more is more reliable, and you can add on to the Eero. So it's not like using the old crappy range extenders that increase the noise along with the signal. You're basically leapfrogging. You're adding a mesh network. So when you add nodes, it leapfrogs from the previous node, and you can expand your range of coverage through your whole property. With Wi-Fi 7, you need fewer of these devices because each one is so much more powerful. So if you haven't upgraded your Wi-Fi in at least 5 years, it's definitely worth considering the investment of it. And with some of the cameras I recommend, these are all good. The reason I say no for Ring is it just doesn't do 4K. It's not quite up to par with Eufy. And full disclosure, several of these companies have had security breaches. They all tend to, shut the barn door after the horse is gone, however that metaphor goes. But all the security is real tight now. They learn the lesson. Nobody learns unless they learn the hard way, I guess. So there were some hacking attempts. Like I think Ring had an issue where one of their a few of their engineers were like yelling at people through their own home camera, so they fired them and took away that capability. It's, if someone has a way to abuse technology, they will always find it. So the Eufy cameras are like ridiculously secure now. When you want to log in, you just use your biometrics, but I'm not concerned. They seem like they are belt and suspenders secure. And if you have Eufy, for example, this is the base station. You can use it locally if you don't want it. If you don't want your data in the cloud, you can add an external hard drive. This tilts up, and you can add your own up to 16 terabyte hard drive, so you have plenty of storage to record everything. Just keep in mind that if you're not using cloud storage, then it's similar to having all your valuables in a safe. It's like a neatly packaged gift for the thieves. So they say keep it in at least 2 different locations, 2 different methods. So if you have it locally, make sure it's also saving to the cloud and you'll be good. And what if you want to record outside without power? Well, the advantages of hardwired cameras, like we talked about, immunity from Wi-Fi jamming, no battery to recharge. Advantages of solar cameras, you just put it up there, you set it, forget it. It can last for several days without sunlight because they're not recording constantly. They're just recording when there's motion. You don't have to recharge it. You can mount it a lot further away than wired. You can still charge it manually. Some solar cameras will work indoors with just the light. And if you don't have enough light, you can still just recharge it, treat it like a rechargeable camera. And then you can, going back to other skills. So when I'm talking about like skills like dog barking, this will be in the section of your Alexa app called skills. And that's where you can have like individual skills like using the dog barking skill. So maybe on some of the, if I do another one of these presentations, I'll go over all the individual skills that you can use with Alexa. The dog barking is one of the skills that I have Alexa utilize when it senses motion. And here's an example of how this would work.
Dog barking.
These guys are going to go crazy. Hopefully not, but yeah.
Motion is detected from the backyard camera. All right, so let's go outside, see if it detects motion. Hey, no, bad dog.
He's already hearing it.
Bad dog.
But he's
I don't know if he hears. That's probably why he's going crazy. Where's that dog? Where is that dog? Where is that dog? There's a dog in there. We don't recognize that dog.
Yep. So
So that could sound like a real dog for an intruder.
and if you put your speaker next to the glass, then it's going to be really hard for someone to differentiate between that. So simulating people talking when you're away, we talked about that. That's just using any type of podcast on Spotify that you link it to. And then to do the lights randomly, you would just use the Alexa home or away feature, like mode. Right now it's in home, so it's not going to randomize the lights because I've learned that lesson the hard way. Don't have it randomize lights when you are trying to sleep. If it says away, then it will initiate that smart randomization. And then for being notified of motion outside your home, this is the last slide. You'll just need some kind of motion detecting camera and an Alexa device. This is the Echo. These are far cheaper than you would assume. They're like $40. It has a screen, has a lot of useful features, but mainly it's just like a visual display of your Alexa device. And you can use it for two-way communications. You can make voice calls directly from this. If you have family that's on the East Coast, kids in college, they can just say, hey, drop in on mom. And if you have that enabled and you answer the call, then you guys can just immediately start chatting, almost like FaceTime. So there's far more features than just home security, but you need an Echo device. That is how Alexa works. So I hope you found this presentation helpful. That concludes the substantive portion of the presentation, and thank you for sticking around. Good. Thank you. All right, so the time is 10 till 4. So if you guys want to ask me a few questions, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll start off. So I have Lutron cassette for controlling the lights.
Mm-hmm.
I can also
The actual switches?
Switches
Yeah.
and plugs. I can also control those through Alexa
Mm-hmm.
with my voice. And I also have Ring cameras, solar powered.
Mm-hmm.
Can I integrate all of those? So can I integrate
Those three?
the Ring motion somehow to connect with the Lucetta,
Mm-hmm.
Lutron cassette, and or the Alexa, so that if the Ring is detecting motion, something else can happen?
Yeah, absolutely. So what he's saying is he's got 3 different devices. He's got the Ring cameras, he's got the Lutron switches, and then obviously Alexa. So Alexa is your hub. So the signals feed into Alexa, and then Alexa tells the devices what to do after it receives a signal. So the answer, yes. It would sense the motion. You would add the skill. So you would go on the Alexa app, you'd look for skills, and you'd find the one for Lutron. And if there was one specifically for Lutron Cassetta, get that. So you would also install the skill for your Ring camera. And then once you've added those skills, it will give you the option when you create a routine to choose when motion is detected by the Ring camera, that starts the event. And then what happens next? Turn on the lights, using the skill for Lutron. Okay. All right. Let's keep these questions brief so we can give other people a chance. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, good.
Okay, cool. Thank you. All right. Go ahead. Yeah.
I have most of these devices, but I'm not that good at integrating. Is this something you or somebody you can refer me to?
Yeah, I'm able to refer because I do it, but I have to charge a lot because it takes up a lot of my time, and this isn't what I do as a profession. But I do it. This isn't a pitch, but since you asked, I do this, but I charge $250 an hour. So there's plenty of people that do it for a lot less. I would recommend like Best Buy, and then maybe get as far as you can. And if there's gremlins that you can't figure out, then I can come out, and if I can't fix it, I won't charge you. But it's taken me a long time to learn all the idiosyncrasies of this, so that's why I do have to charge, because it takes away from my normal livelihood.
When you mentioned Best Buy, you're referring to Geek Squad?
Yeah, Geek Squad. It's hit or miss with Geek Squad. They usually will come out and do a free consultation. You probably have to. I don't think you have to buy anything. Just tell them if you already have the hardware, you're not buying anything. It might be hard to get them out there, but you might be able to just get them out there to do a consultation, and then maybe buy something that incentivizes them to hook it up and configure it for you. So you probably need to add a few more Hue bulbs, for example, or maybe you want new Wi-Fi. Once they're there, they may be willing to help you with the setup.
Follow-up question. Could you look at what I have and say this approximately takes me 2-3 hours or so much? Is that possible?
I mean, I can talk to you about it. You can tell me what you have and what you're trying to do, and I can let you know if that would be worth my time and your money for me to come out. So, all right. Yeah, go ahead. Adina? Yep.
This is more a question for Corey. HOA design review, digital door locks on your front door. Is it acceptable
Yeah.
to replace the existing doorknob, door handle, and lock?
Well, it's not the handle. It's just the deadbolt.
Well, it's integrated.
Not necessarily. I mean, ours is two-piece, so the handle is separate from the deadbolt. So I think, your question to Corey is there any problem with us replacing our legacy deadbolt with a smart keypad?
Not that I can recall off the top of my head. I've never had that come up before, to be honest. And I don't think it specifies, in the design guidelines. I'd have to look, but I don't see a problem with that.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
What's something like that gonna cost?
Which device?
The
The keypad?
keypad. To replace the deadbolt.
You can get one for under $100, and it depends if you want to have a deadbolt with the camera built in, but you can get them for under $100 for just the deadbolt, the smart deadbolt. And it doesn't make sense to have the camera built into the deadbolt if you already have a doorbell cam. That's good enough. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah.
Yep. And I usually hesitate to talk about prices because whatever it costs today is going to be different tomorrow. But ballpark is hopefully that helps. Yeah. And then, okay. All right. So go ahead.
You had the Alexa speakers. Is that an indoor, outdoor speakers?
Oh, good question. These are indoor. I mean, they're so cheap that you really could get a case for it and put it outside, like a skin, and put it outside. I mean, $40 is approaching disposable because it'll last you many months out here as long as it's not in direct rain.
And that's plug-inable?
It requires AC power,
Okay.
but they do make the smaller ones without the screen, like the dot and the spot, that you can use a cable like this that converts high power USB-C. It has to be the fast charge USB-C to emulate the 120 AC. So you can put it anywhere with a power bank versus using just the regular power plug if you don't have an outlet handy. Al?
Yeah, with Alexa, let me make sure, with Alexa app,
glass breakage, you're
Mhm.
not home, will it automatically call 911 for you?
No, it won't. It will call you. It'll give you the ability to call emergency assist from where you are. So it'll pop up, you can press the button, and then it'll be a conversation like you heard where you're speaking to the dispatcher, whether you're at home or in Europe. So,
The second question is, if I have a Eufy camera, let's say a solar camera in my backyard, I also have, let's say, Nest cameras in my backyard, can I use the Alexa app for both? Integrate?
yeah. Well, so are you trying, when you say, elaborate what you're trying to do.
So right now, I currently have, cameras and spotlights in the back.
And you have two different brands, Eufy and Ring?
No, they're I bought them on Amazon, I think. They're,
Okay.
I'm trying to think, is it Google? I don't know who sells these things. There's Amazon.
Yeah, they all do, yeah.
But they're not.
Yeah, you maybe have like Nest or Ring
Yeah,
or
Nest,
yeah, okay.
Nest. So I can go to Alexa and it'll show all my, what I've got. Well, so I can, control the lights in all the rooms.
Correct. Yeah,
But if I want to get I like the idea of having a solar-powered directional camera in the backyard. That's kind of nice. And I think you said Eufy.
Yes.
So
Yes.
could I put that Eufy camera up and then it'll also pop up on my Nest app? My Alexa app. That's Eufy camera.
Yep.
It integrates it into the software.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not limited to any one brand of camera.
Mix.
You can. Yep. You absolutely can. Yep. It just needs motion from any of the supported camera. All the big brands are supported by Alexa. And you'd be surprised even these like small esoteric brands are now as well. And I am able to, I don't know if you can see this, it's kind of dark, but the way this works, you open Alexa and now you have your ability to, go to emergency assist, you have routines. These are all your devices down here. And, don't be intimidated by this. I've been doing this for about 10 years. So yeah. And it's well over 100. Yeah. And all right. So like one of the cases, I did a really technical troubleshooting for one of the residents here because she had so many hue lights that they were conflicting with each other. They had Best Buy out, and Best Buy's solution was to split up her house into basically Zone A and Zone B and have different Alexa devices for the house, and that was not the right solution, and it was driving her crazy. But there always is a workaround. I shouldn't be saying the A word. If everybody's watching this video, it's going to trigger their devices, Alexa, But so let's say you have chandelier lights or recessed lighting. You want to make those smart lights. You have two options. You can replace the bulbs with smart bulbs, and Philips makes those type of bulbs, the chandelier type. They also make multiple sizes of the recessed lighting. So that is one way to do it. If you don't or can't, then you can replace the switches, like what this gentleman was saying. You can use a smart switch, and that is a way to get your lights controlled. Some of you will have very exotic chandeliers with LED lights where there's no way to replace that bulb. It's very proprietary to the manufacturer, so that's where you would want to use a smart switch. Yeah, go ahead.
So you can buy smart bulbs.
Branded, not
put in these kinds of lights, and that'll connect to Alexa.
Yes. As long as the housing can accommodate the bulb, then the bulb from Philips Hue or this new brand Sengled, super cheap, and they work pretty well. Philips Hue was kind of the pioneers, and we have Philips Hue bulbs in our house that are 11 years old, and they still work, and they're very energy efficient. I never expected them to last that long, but they're great. But Costco, Best Buy, like anything off the shelf is most likely going to work with Alexa. There may be exceptions, but the advantage of buying at Best Buy is that you can try it. You can even buy multiple different brands knowing that you're going to return 4 out of 5 and they're okay with it. So you don't have to guess if it'll work. You can try it and it either works or it doesn't work. So. Go ahead.
Why doesn't Amazon advertise and stuff for Alexa?
Oh, like all these capabilities?
Well, yeah.
I think it sounds intimidating. Part of the challenge of this presentation was to not lose half the group at all times. Because if I oversimplify, then I'm going to lose half the group that is already sophisticated with this, and vice versa. So you have to start at a very low level. I think they have tried, but it's a good question. I mean, I think more people would be intrigued if they knew how powerful this stuff was and how easy it is to access it. It really is a low barrier to entry, as long as you just start with one device at a time.
And you can do that for $6. I mean, you can do the app for $6 a month.
Well, you don't even need to pay $6 a month. $6 a month just extends the capabilities beyond what is out of the box. So if you want the additional capabilities like Alexa Emergency Assist, because they have to man that dispatch center 24 hours a day. And, oh, it's listening. Every time I say Alexa, yeah. Okay, yeah. Right. Yeah. Thank you. So that's why there's an add-on fee, but it's not even necessary. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. Explain to me how the smart light bulbs work, because I would think I've got a power switch, for example, and it lights all the bulbs in my kitchen.
Yeah.
I can't just that power switch has to be on all the time for that smart light bulb to work, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So you.
All those bulbs in my kitchen with smart light.
That's a really good question. So the point is, whatever is like a lower cost to entry. If you have the option to replace just the switch, that's a lot cheaper than replacing all the bulbs. If you don't have the ability to replace the switch, then replace the bulbs. If you're still using like compact fluorescent, those are really inefficient and they're incredibly hazardous if one of those breaks because of the mercury. You'll probably never get it out of your house. So get those out of your house immediately if you have them. Replace them with the LEDs, which is what almost all these smart bulbs use. And if you have the ability to replace just the switch, then do it. Now, why you may want to replace the bulbs instead of the switch is if you want to have different colors. And why is that important? Well, you're probably all aware of how blue light can affect you, especially within the evening hours. It can really disrupt your circadian rhythms and your sleep. So if you can have the lights do a warm hue closer to like the 5,000 Kelvin level, it's a yellowish light, it will improve your sleep. Versus in the morning, you may want it to have a bluish hue to trigger your circadian rhythms to emulate, natural blue light. So it tricks your body into thinking like, okay, I'm outside, I'm awake now. That's a good use case for why you want colored lights. That's just white. If you want actual colors, that's more for novelty, especially around the holidays. I can't think of an important reason to have colorful lights, unless you're my wife and you want to make the lights red when I've pissed her off for the 4th time in one night, then the signal is received. So, yeah. I mean, the lights are probably not going to scare them away like the lights going red, but maybe it'll help. It can't hurt. Maybe it'll help. Yeah.
So I'm just looking at Amazon. Smart switch, let's say the kitchen, $17.99.
Yep.
And so I can basically turn that on, or say, Alexa, turn off the kitchen lights and turn it off. Yep. You can schedule it for coming on or off while the other lights in your house.
Correct. Yep. You can have it turn on every night at the same time. You can have it turn off every night. So what has been the biggest godsend is we have over 60 bulbs in our house. Most of you have at least that many or more. And going around the house and turn off all the lights every night, I mean, these are 21st century inconveniences. It's not going to end my life. I mean, we are all very fortunate to live in this time that we have light to begin with. But going around the house, turn off all the switches, and then turn them all in the morning. When you have smart switches or smart bulbs, you don't have to do any of that because it'll turn off all your lights at 10 p.m., well after you're asleep in most cases, so you don't have to even think of it. And it'll turn them on in the morning based on any room, any light, all the lights, several of the lights, however you want it to be configured. Yep.
Other thing, I really like what you said when you started off this meeting. You said home security is a layered defense.
Mm-hmm.
And if you imagine those people that were getting broken into, where their house
Yeah.
in that area. And is there any way to prevent somebody from, jumping your fence, but having a detection system so that they don't get close to your fence, the lights will come on, or something will come that's, a verbal command will come on.
Yeah.
Is that possible to do?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, you would need like an outdoor speaker, and I don't have any recommendations on that yet. I'm looking to see if there's a good hardwired outdoor speaker that can be triggered by Alexa. But as you saw earlier on the doorbell, you can program your own voice. You can also have Alexa say whatever you want it to say. You can type out the words, and it will say, whatever you want. I am armed. I am on my way, or something like, whatever your imagination can think of, you can do it. And those are, the legal ways. There's less than legal ways to keep intruders at your property using tripwires and blank 45 cartridges, but I'm not recommending that, and I do not have that, just for the record. But that's not what you're asking, I assume. Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. Yeah. So, any final questions? Good. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Matthew.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.